Hey, what's up everyone on YouTube and X? So Bitcoin once again has seen further pullback today. It retests this lower range down at 57.7K. So the question that everyone really has right now is Bitcoin going to break down once again, or is it going to end up holding up here? So if we were to look just to start, ultimately Bitcoin really needs to remain above this 57.7K level. However, if it were to break down, it really ultimately would need to hold this 56K level. If we were to lose this 56K level, that would be a lower low. So since really the start of August, we've seen higher lows and higher highs. Higher lows, higher highs. Could this be another higher low? Possibly. We really need to start to bounce out of this and make a higher high to further confirm that we're in this uptrend that we've been in since the start of August. As we look back at the start of both August and July, we saw major pullbacks. We saw this pullback right here to start July. We saw this pullback here to start August. So the question is are we going to see a pullback to start the month of September? And it would start with a loss of this level. So we need to focus on this level and make sure it ends up being held as support if we are to retest it. My overall analysis as we head into the election still has not changed at all. I still think we're just going to see some chop and mostly sideways action in the month of September, which historically is the worst performing month for Bitcoin. However, last year we did see a green September, so it's possible we could see that again. But I think September won't see much, and I think maybe mid-October, early November is when we would start to get out of this area. Historically, if you look back at 2012, 2016, and 2020, heading into October, November is usually the time frame that we exit this area. We go back to 2012, we saw basically downside in August, and we slowly moved up in September into October before moving up in November and then breaking out of this and then seeing major upside starting December and January. And then if we go to 2016, it's the same exact story. We saw a crash in early August, and then we slowly moved out of this area heading into September, into October, before breaking out of it into November and December. And then we go to 2020, same thing again. We crashed in August and then slowly moved up into September, into October. And in October, we actually exited this area. So it is possible that for this cycle, perhaps maybe October will start to break out of this. We will see. But September, I just don't think we'll see too much. Maybe we do see some upside, but historically, once again, it is the worst performing month for Bitcoin, unfortunately. If we move over to others, which is alts outside of the top 10, we're seeing a big red weekly candle after having a huge green weekly candle the week prior. So essentially the alts, for the most part, especially the low cap alts, have given back most of their upside over the past week that they gained the week prior. I believe this can largely be contributed to the SEC's continued attack against the crypto industry. As we saw this week, OpenSea, which was the #1 NFT platform from last cycle, received a Wells notice as regulators say NFTs are securities. So this is once again, the SEC has once again continued its attack against crypto, as these lawsuits will play out into 2025 and into 2026. So in my opinion, I think the expectation from the SEC is that the anti-crypto stance will continue next year and in 2026 if Gary Gensler is still there. This news comes just weeks after the SEC subpoenaed 3 crypto venture capitalist firms in a crackdown against crypto. This happened a few weeks ago. So the SEC has gone after crypto companies, crypto coins, crypto VCs. They're going after the NFTs now. SEC is doing everything in its power currently to stifle this entire industry, this entire space. They made everything difficult with the ETFs. They didn't want to pass the Bitcoin ETF. They didn't want to pass the Ethereum ETF. So everything that they have done has just been anti-crypto. And if they can get their way, I think they would like to continue this into the future. And now lastly, if we look at Ethereum, Ethereum is still struggling. It's still lagging behind. If you look at it compared to last cycle, when Bitcoin broke all-time highs, which occurred on this weekly candle, Ethereum was still down 60% from its all-time high back in 2018. Yet despite Ethereum being down 60% while Bitcoin cleared its all-time high back in 2020, Ethereum almost immediately caught up once when Bitcoin had cleared it for good. So I do think that once when Bitcoin clears this 75K, 69K level, I do think Ethereum will accelerate and catch up and break its all-time high. Ethereum is currently only down less than 50%, which is still less than what it was in 2020. So despite the negative sentiment and how bad it looked in 2020, it was able to recover pretty fast immediately after Bitcoin cleared its all-time highs. It was able to catch up. If you enjoyed this video and you're watching on YouTube, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're watching on X, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon, which I do frequent updates. I recently put out an update today mentioning two coins, Aave and FET. These two coins accelerated last week and we were able to identify their breakouts, and currently they're showing strength against Bitcoin. So I discussed that in today's update on my Patreon. Find both my YouTube and my Patreon in the description below if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're watching on Twitter or X, it is right in my profile right here for my Patreon as well as my YouTube. And make sure to subscribe to YouTube because I post all these videos first on YouTube.